Om Ganana Antva Ganapati Gum Havamahe Kavin Kavinam Jyeshtharajan Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvan Notibhisida Sadanam Om Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Stuštuvagum Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitai Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastakshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant a prayer which is a part of the tradition before we begin any class, because every class is about you receiving what you need to receive, and so we need grace for that to manifest. You can repeat after me. Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. The topic for this session is self-realization. Is it knowledge or is it an experience? I would invite questions somewhere midway or even towards the end of the session. I'm looking forward to your questions. So before we dive into the topic, let's look at the journey of a human being. A little child is quite helpless and depends a lot on his or her parents to live, to survive actually. And in the process of childhood, a lot of us have felt, why me? So why did my brother get chocolate? Why did I get what I deserved? Or that same why me continues in teenage years with the experience that, I really fancied that guy. And why did he have to go with my best friend? Or why is that one more endowed, more talented than me? So this is what I will call a stage of being a victim. Why do I say a victim? Is because I feel that the world is too large, too overwhelming, and I am this little worm perhaps who is being overwhelmed by this kind of stimuli. But as we discover our powers, this victim mode might then change to survivor mode. So yeah, I have few limitations, but I also happen to have a few strengths, and I will manage with that. So I have some friends, I have support network, I have some talents, maybe I'm good academically, whatever. Some strengths I have, so I will learn to manage. So the thinking is you win some, you lose some, it's good. Okay? But still, every day feels like a struggle because I am in survivor mode. And so, huge amount of effort and multivitamins and exercise and lots of things are required just to maintain my mood. And then generally we find in our 20s that we are at our peak, so 20s, 30s. So you have a tremendous amount of energy, there is a lot of ambition, you want to change the world, you definitely want to change your partner. And then soon enough you realize, well, no matter how brilliant I am, I cannot change my partner. And of course my children. But you feel that you have the strength, the power. And that is what I will call the mode of an achiever. There is a great excitement, there is a buzz when it comes to achieving something. And that's when we find everyone wanting to run the half marathon, full marathon, triathlon and all that. Because you enjoy the buzz of your power, your Shakti, and you find that you are able to create a lot of change in your own little world, and maybe you are able to contribute to change in other people's worlds as well. So we've seen the journey is from being a victim to a survivor to an achiever. Okay? More or less. Now, this achiever is looking for experiences, right? So generally when you're talking about achievements, what are we saying? We're talking about relationships, we're talking about work, we're talking about good health, generally. So you want to have achievements in all these areas of your life, and we all struggle and strive for that. And there are different goalposts for everyone. So somebody might take the path of yoga, somebody might do Zumba, somebody might run, whatever it is, okay? And in this striving, I want to be free from the sense of inadequacy I have. Why am I striving so much? Because actually, I am not good enough. That's our secret sorrow. I don't want anyone to find out, you know. And we think it's a psychological problem. Actually, it's not. Everyone suffers from this because we are identified with this medium which is called the human body. So I am not good enough, and that's why we are not able to receive love. So you will ask your partner 10,000 times, but darling, why do you love me? So, you know, there are other equally attractive women. So the guy will say, are you driving me towards them? So, but still you cannot help yourself. No, but sweetheart, why do you love me so much? And he cannot or she cannot offer a logical reason for it. And we also secretly fear when you take up a job or you get into a relationship that it's not going to last, because the person will figure out how difficult you are as a person to live with, you know. So this thing that bothers us, that I am not good enough, and therefore I have to struggle, I have to strive, drives us towards our many achievements. And that's a very good thing. You know, that's how society grows and thrives. So this striving for achievement is what gives you a good sense of self-esteem. You think like, okay, I can manage it. Certain situations I can't manage. In-laws I cannot handle. But the others, oh, okay. I have a choice. So I try and avoid very judiciously. I'm okay. This achiever is now looking for different kinds of experiences. And you get inspired by what's on Insta and then what's on Facebook. And of course, the only place in the world which is a paradise is Facebook and Insta. Everyone is living a wonderful life. So you get ideas. Well, and I think the younger generation calls it FOMO. You heard that? Fear of missing out. So you see someone who's gone to Greece and you say, actually, I've not been there. Or somebody went to the yoga festival and you are a yogi, you're a yoga teacher. So, I've not been invited. Or somebody went there and was raving about it and damn, how could I miss it? So this fear of missing out drives us for even more achievements. Because you want your status to always be elevated. And in that process, you also end up coming for a World Yoga Festival. Looking for an experience, something different. Okay? It is the achiever who transforms into becoming a seeker. If you have not had many achievements in life, okay, whatever is your sphere of operation, you cannot become a seeker. Because you are actually questioning the many achievements that you've had in your life. So the goalpost kept shifting and shifting. Earlier it was that, I just have my best friend in childhood and that was it. I didn't want anything more. Then of course a partner, then a child. Then once you had a child, you never anticipated that this is going to be one 21-year-old Hulk or a 16-year-old teenager who is going to question you and say, what did you do for me? So and then nowadays, kids, I know one of my friend's son, he says, Ma, you have traumatized me. Why? Because you tell me to wake up early. So we love this extreme language. And she's like, what do I do? I said, just relax. He's just using this extreme language because he knows he can manipulate you. So don't worry about it. Because he knows that he can get a reaction from his mother. So this orientation that we have, this achievement orientation is a very important one, and it gives rise to the birth of a seeker. Because now you are saying, well, you know what, been there, done that, worn the t-shirt, maybe I've had okay relationships, maybe I'm in a happy one, maybe I got rid of an unhappy one, and then maybe, okay, I really wanted children, I have at least one child. And of course, for those who don't want children, their pets are always there. So when I was talking to one teenager, he said, I am a pet mom. I said, what are the roles you're playing? I am a pet mom. Okay. So she's the one who takes care in the house of the pet. So whatever it be, we're thinking, well, I did this, but why is it that something's missing? What is missing? I can't quite put a finger on it. And that's where Vedanta steps in. So Vedanta, everybody is familiar with the word, yeah? Anybody who's not familiar with the word Vedanta? Okay. So Veda is revealed knowledge from Ishvara. Like every religion claims to be revealed knowledge. So like Christianity is revealed knowledge by Jesus or so on. Islam, prophet. So like that, what goes in the name of Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma, revealed knowledge by Ishvara to different rishis who were able to see mantras, mantra drishtaraha, that was codified, collected. So mantras are teachings and sacred sounds which have very profound meaning, all collected and codified in a series of 4 books called the Vedas. And there is a tiny section at the end of the Veda which is dealing with moksha. The big chunk of the Veda deals with our 3 pursuits, which is your pursuit of security, artha, pursuit of pleasure, companionship, power, fame, etc., kama, dharma. So dharma, again, very deep word, but from this universal values and ethics, ideas and understanding of punya papa, which I will come to later, and also going to swarga, so a place where there is lot of comfort and pleasure, and you will always be young, so you don't have to suffer from aging and its effects. So another place which may have its equivalent in heaven, although our swarga is temporary. Once your visa expires, you're back. Okay. So the big chunk of the Veda covers these 3 pursuits and has a lot of rituals which will help us and guide us in our main pursuits. What we are focused on here is the last section of the Veda. And because it is antaha of the Veda, the end of the Veda, positionally, it is called Vedanta. So all that goes in the name of consciousness or self-knowledge, all of that is there in that section. So Vedanta as a body of knowledge is addressed to the seeker. I trained as a psychologist and I experimented a lot with therapy and Buddhism and alternative healing modalities. And as a seeker, one can go down that road, like many of you have done, right? Again, the seeking of an experience continues. So I want a good therapist, or I want to go for a yoga session, I want to be blissed out. Or I went for this gong session and it was mind blowing. I don't know what happened, but again I was zoned out. So I am now what we will call in Vedanta a confirmed bhokta, experiencer. And some people may get a bit snobbish and will say, you know what, you're seeking pleasure out there, but I am seeking pleasure within. Okay. So out there is the parting phase that we have all been through. Maybe some of us are still, going through it. So pleasure is out there. That is what is going to really fulfill me. Once I have a perfect relationship, once I have my perfect little house, once I have this brilliant job, once I have a good Ayurvedic lifestyle, I'll be fine. Okay? That's our belief. And we try all of this, that emptiness continues. And this is where Viveka needs to step in. Viveka meaning a certain discriminative inquiry. That what can you possibly get from your pursuits? Can you get limitless happiness from a limited pursuit? Is a question that we have to ask ourselves. But before we ask ourselves, we get disillusioned and disappointed because all these promised things by society do not deliver the goods. So I'll say, oh, you know what, I've done this, all this external stuff. Now I'm going to be a yogi. I will look within. I will keep my eyes closed most of the time. So, as if there's something magical about closing your eyes. But there is something magical because you are withdrawing, okay? So, you're not allowing your senses to distract you too much. And then you start shunning people. So, then you say, oh, I am in solitude, I am in maunam, so I'm going to have silence. You begin to discover a certain peace and a joy, which is wonderful. But note that I am still seeking an experience. And the whole thing about an experience is it begins in time and naturally ends in time. So whether it is a physically intimate moment, or it is you having your mango lassi in one of the restaurants, or it is the yoga festival, or it is your vacation in Greece, wherever it is, you go there for the first day, second day, and it's a 1 week holiday, and you're saying, oh my God, 2 days are over. Oh, it's coming to an end. Oh, I don't want it to end. Oh, why do the vacations have to end? I don't want this. So that's the problem with any experience. Oh, I've had a samadhi experience. Well, that's the same thing. So in a samadhi experience, subject-object resolve. And of course, when you're in samadhi, you don't know you're in samadhi. You come out of it and then you say, oh, yeah, I didn't know a thing. Was I sleeping? No. Was I snoring? No. But I was wide awake and I didn't know a thing. And there was total absorption. So now, the projecting mind, who says this, things are not okay, and I have to have a special experience, that mind now wants more of the samadhi, wants more of the yoga. So what I'm trying to do is, now I'm trying to X all the experiences. I increase the frequency of all my experiences which give me a lot of pleasure. But then what I find is the law of diminishing marginal utility sets in, which means what? So when I love dark chocolate, first piece, second piece, maybe till fourth, fifth is okay. If you give me 20 pieces, I'm not going to touch dark chocolate at least for the next year. Because it's not even satiation. You don't quite like it, because the same thing that gave you a lot of pleasure, you looked forward to it, you perhaps dieted before that so that you could enjoy this wonderful chocolate from Belgium. Now, you almost want to puke. Suppose if somebody just keeps some, like lot of chocolate in front of you, you don't want it. And the same thing happens that before you decided to be in a relationship with a person. So how come you guys are together? Oh, well, she's strong and independent and I really enjoy that. Then, back in family court, 3 years later. So what happened? I thought you all were good together. Oh, she's too strong and too independent. The same reason that attracted you in the beginning becomes a cause of despair later. So now, where does the happiness lie? Is it in the nature of the experience, or is it elsewhere? So we've seen that any experience, okay, whether it's an internal experience, external experience, whatever be the experience, okay, even if you're having ecstasy or whatever it is, the experience starts in time, ends in time. And it is mixed with pain. To gain anything, there is an experience of some pain, some denial, some perhaps suffering also. You wanted a child, you have to go through childbirth, labor pains. And mothers are ready to do that. So even with a C-section, not that it's all, it takes time for the stitches to heal, it is painful. But I'm willing to do that because that experience is very important for me. So what we find is that experience by itself, I keep looking for, I am an experiencer, but it has its limitations. It's mixed with pain. It has a beginning and an end. And the same experience doesn't give me the happiness it used to. So now what do I do? Now I'm even more lost. Okay? So because everyone is sailing in the same boat. And that's when Vedanta comes in and says that you are more than an experiencer. Experiencer, we have a Sanskrit word called bhokta. So you had projected happiness, fulfillment onto things outside, onto a relationship, onto an object, onto your latest iPhone, onto some app. And actually, the Ananda, the fullness that you feel is because you are Ananda or fullness. Okay? So you will please note, I am not translating Ananda as bliss. Because bliss is an experiential word. It is subject to a beginning and an end. And that's why I don't have bliss. I want bliss. I have bliss for some moments, blissful sleep or blissed out, but it gets over. So this seeker who is now waking up to Vedanta is now questioning his or her experiences, is now also questioning what is my identity. Because I have chosen to define myself through my experiences. So when I say been there, done that, it is an experience. So I am single, I am married, I work here, I am the CEO, all related to certain incidental aspects, but they are not intrinsic to me. The reason I call it incidental is because I can pick it up, I can drop. Even a relationship is incidental to me. No, I have never been so happy. That's fine, that's great, but it's incidental to you. Because what defines you really means that it can never change. It's like, what is the definition of fire? That which burns. Is there cold fire? No. Can we make it cold? No. Fire burns. That's it. It's the nature of fire to burn. So I may define myself through many different things, and all of those things are limited. And then I suffer the limitations of that. And then I'm always thinking I'm not good enough. So the experiencer is now wanting a special experience of bliss. I've heard something in Vedanta now I want that experience. So then again, some misconceptions will walk in. Because for yoga, the paradigm, yoga as in Ashtanga Yoga, the paradigm is experiential. You cannot come to a class and listen to it. No, you have to do. You have to do your asana. You have to do your pranayama. And even yama and niyama. Everybody is familiar with Ashtanga, like the angas. Anybody not familiar with it? Yama, niyama. Okay, few people. Okay. So even to come to asana pranayama, I have to earn my right for that. If I am having all night partying lifestyle and I come for an asana class, I will not be able to stretch. Okay, why? And we have heard, those of us who were there in the Ayurveda session, heard about the importance of sleep. Very, very important. So there is yama and niyama, certain things that I need to practice in my life, certain things to be avoided, so that I have a moderate lifestyle. This yogi, experiential, now hears about samadhi. So samadhi, everybody has heard the word. And now is thinking, oh, this is a special experience. I want this samadhi. So whether it is nirbija samadhi, sabija samadhi, dharma mega samadhi, I want all of it. Remember, same person who, I want this possession, I want this relationship, and I want this samadhi also. But what is happening is, I am projecting the quality of happiness, Ananda, fullness, onto something that is external to me. And that's where we have to bring in our inquiry. There are many approaches, there are many methodologies in Vedanta, but Vedanta is not a school of thought. It is presented like that. It is not a system. It is a means of knowledge. How do I see myself? From different standpoints, we have different ways of seeing ourselves. So from the biological standpoint, you're this bunch of whatever, flesh, bones, blood, tissues, fat, lots of fat, and so on and so forth. Then from a physics standpoint, okay, you're all this energy, Reiki to for sure. And then for a vulture, you are just a packet to be eaten. Different standpoints, okay? But none of these standpoints are defining standpoints. Because if it's defining, then it will not change. But because these are all subjective standpoints and valid, because they are disciplines of knowledge, it works. What is it that defines me? Who defines me? What is it about me that will never change? What is it about me that is not subject to any increase or decrease? What is it about me that is not subject to any negation? Nobody can talk me down on this. Nobody can dismiss me. So we have to arrive at something like that there can be no debate about it. And that's where Vedanta, being a means of knowledge, requires a teacher to step in who can handle the words of the Veda. So there again one misconception may come in that, oh, yoga has a theory and it has a practice. So Vedanta says you are consciousness, you are limitless. How shall I practice? You see, we have, after our laziness and inertia, we are now having a little more disciplined lifestyle. So I am all in this practicing orientation. So now I hear, oh, you are consciousness, you are bliss, you are Ananda, you are fullness. So, oh, that's theory then. So please tell me how to practice. Well, let me ask you, are you a theory? You, the person, are you a theory? Anybody here? No. Are you a practice? Are you a practice? You are a practice? Somebody? No? Thank God. So you're neither a theory nor a practice. So Vedanta is pointing to that you are this self-evident being. You're not a human being. I mean, you are a human being, but human is an adjective to you. Okay? We may say, you have to behave more human and humane and all of that, but that's in the context of being kind. But when we use the word human being, what you really are is pure being, that which is not subject to increase or decrease, that which is the basis of your entire body mind sense complex, that which has always been there from the time that you were born, in this lifetime of course, till your death. The one constant, invariable being that has always been around. Experiences have come, experiences have gone. Other people have tried to define you. Those definitions have come, they have gone. Some of those definitions have created a lot of problems for us. Our lives have been a reaction to how people treated us when we were little. Whatever it be, whatever be the different stages of your life, you are the constant, you are the invariable, everything else was variable, and that you is pure being. So being which seems to be enclosed by this adjective of being human. So it's like you're wearing a body suit, okay? Body suit which has a skeletal structure, and it has blood and tissues and fat and so on and so forth. So it's pure being that is wearing this body suit and is listening to a class on what is being, okay? That's what it is. And this being is not limited by the enclosure. Our experience is that this as though enclosure limits us. So if I am in a particular place A, I am not in particular place B. But if you look at it, the way your mind functions, you are able to sit on any planet. You can just, your mind is not limited to your body. It can think of anything and everything. So the mind is not enclosed by the body structure. Then what is it that makes up the mind? Is again an inquiry. So may I ask, how many people attended Sarvapriyananda's talk? Because there were only few. Okay, so then I could do the Drigdrishya Viveka. Because that was what my earlier plan was until I heard him speak. So I thought if you've already heard that, then let me approach it from another angle. So this thing that I am calling pure being, that's going to be our inquiry. Is this only for a Hindu? No, we're talking about all of humanity. That what is it that changes and what is it that stays the same is our inquiry. And a very simple logic that is used is what I will unfold now. The things around me are changing, but my eyes are relatively constant. Okay, that's how I'm able to see the different colors, I'm able to see the different tents, different people, so on and so forth. If I see an elephant, my eyes don't become elephant-like. If I see a microbe, my eyes again don't become microscopic, correct? My eyes more or less stay the same, but drishyam, what is out there, is changing. Okay, and that's how I'm able to recognize differences. Then when it comes to my eyes, I go to a world famous ophthalmologist. I need glasses. I can't see clearly. Okay. So what does the fellow do? So he'll put some lenses. Can you see? Okay, try and read. Oh, okay. CKLM something. Okay, I can't read. Okay, you need more glasses. Okay, so now this guy is supposed to be world famous. He should be able to figure it out. But no, he consults me. He says, can you see? Can you see? Can you see? Changing the lenses. Why? Because I know if I can see or not. because my mind is there behind the eyes. Correct? Then, with respect to the mind, the quality of vision is changing. What about the mind? Is it constant or is it changing? Well, mind is always changing. We know how moody all of us are. Okay? Everyone is moody. Yeah, and our moods keep changing depending on something you read, some post that comes in, a message that comes in, dramatic change. How do you know about your moods? Who knows? You don't have to go to an astrologer for that, Jyotisham. You will tell. Suppose I say, oh, you're looking really angry. Say, no, I'm not angry. I am just a little irritated. You will clarify the degree of emotion. Or you will say, well, actually, I have mixed feelings about this. How do you know all this? Because you can see what's happening in the mind. Correct? All of us? So even if you're confused about something, you will say, actually, I don't know, I'm a little confused. Okay. You know because you can see the changes in the mind. What does that mean? That you are different from the mind. Okay? This is a bit mind-boggling when you hear it for the first time. That you are different from the conditions of your mind. But our problem is we define ourselves by the condition of our mind. And so you see the birth of the experiencer. I don't feel good. Let me listen to some music. I don't feel good. Let me go for a walk. I don't feel good. Maybe I should just have a drink. All the way, it's this identification with the mind that drives us. And what is it that we see in our own experience? That I am more than the mind. That's why I can change it. Okay? Your partner might complain, you're always changing your mind. What is this? We just discussed this and you've just changed your mind. We decided we're going to paint this color on the walls. And now? So I can change my mind. I can reason differently. I can memorize. I can analyze. I can synthesize. Which means what? That it is an instrument in my hands. And what is very interesting is that we have a Sanskrit word for the mind called antakaranam. Look at the definition, okay? It means inner instrument. So inner instrument doesn't function on its own. It needs somebody to wield the instrument. And therefore, the definition of yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, do you know what it is? Anyone? Chitta vritti nirodhaha. That is the definition of yoga. So, nirodhaha, mastery of what? Vritti. Vritti means, vritti is a word for thought. So, thought is not static, it's a flow of thoughts. What about it? Chitta vritti nirodha. Chitta here in the context of the mind, the word chitta is being used. So, mastery over the flow of thoughts. But what to do with mastery? Like one of my American friends who was a yoga teacher who came for Vedanta course said very beautifully that I've been a yoga teacher for so many decades and I was busy mastering my mind. And now that my mind is mastered, what do I do with a mastered mind? Correct? So, the mind can stay where it needs to. If it needs to function, it can. Okay, fine, I have that mastery. It's a nice ego kick also. Good. But what to do with it? Because at the cemetery, it will still read 1960 to 2022. There will be a big dash. Correct? Whatever fancy epitaph you have, But that's the truth of everyone. Date of birth, or your obituary also. Date of birth, whatever it is, dash, date of death. All your achievements, all your relationships, everything, all your possessions, and the stamps on your passport, everything in that one dash. That's the definition of your life. Oh, how sad this is. Oh, I don't want this. So, because I think life is defined by birth and death. And here is where Vedanta says that actually it's just a lifetime and you have been wearing different clothes. In every lifetime, Vasamsi Jirnani, Bhagavad Gita. So you have always been around. You've just changed your clothes, that's all. Different bodies. And this being, when we are using this particular logic of Drig Drishya, that all that I see is different from me, which means that what I see, what I experience is different from me. So if I see a donkey, do I become a donkey? You know the answer. But if you see a sad thought, okay, you see a sad thought in your mind, what happens? It's my thought, I am so sad. But you're seeing the sad thought, you're seeing the intensity change. But still, you identify with it because you don't know what you are. And what you are is pure being. So that being which is not subject to any change. Because what is there in any experience, look at it, any experience, okay, whether it's of an intimacy experience or you're having ice cream, what is there is some sense data, correct? Some sensation, some wonderful feelings, thoughts, emotions, all of that. And there is your emotional response to it. So you broke up with your boyfriend when the sun was setting. Now, sunsets remind you of endings. You don't like sunsets. Sun has done nothing to you, okay? It's still very beautiful. It sends data. Somebody else who actually proposed to his girlfriend sunset time. Very special time. I look forward to every sunset because every sunset reminds me of you. Sense data, same. But my emotional response to it determines the nature of my experience. So the misconception that comes along is that Vedanta is a theory. You have to practice it. And let me say it is not a theory because you are not a theory. Neither are you a practical. So there is no theory and there is no practice. Then is Vedanta a special experience? Well, you are pure being. Is that an experience? Because pure being with this bodysuit is going through different kinds of experiences. And what inhibits us are what are called raga and dvesha. Raga is a craving for something and dvesha is an aversion for something. So, if anybody has had ecstasy, you want to hug the whole world. Why? Because inhibitions have dropped. Okay, you're the same person, you're the same uptight person. But when you had that drink or whatever it was, or you're feeling high for no reason, all your inhibitions have gone, you want to hug the whole world and you have nothing wrong or nothing bad to say about anyone. So what really happened? Well, actually it's your fullness that is manifesting without being inhibited by a craving or an aversion. So that's why we think, oh, Vedanta maybe is a special experience. I want this experience. I want to feel that, you know, I'm okay everywhere. Wherever I go, I take the weather with me. I want to feel at home wherever I am. Well, actually, the truth is that this body mind that I have is given to me. Okay. I'm just wanting to check. What's the time? How much time do I have? Okay. 40 did you say? Yeah, okay. So we can go into another prakriya. This world that I experience, who put it together? Okay, is a question. But before I want to go into this, I'm just checking, are there any questions, clarifications on what I have said so far? Anyone? Ah, yes.
You talked about the data. So if I'm seeing something, I can deduce from that is I'm different. I'm the seer. I cannot be something seen. So can I extend that argument to say that because I'm seeing something, because it's an experience, it cannot be real.
Okay. So you're questioning the reality of the experience, right? Okay. That's a good question. So when we are looking at the nature of an experience, is it real or is it unreal? Okay. Now what is the definition of reality, Satyam? That which is subject to no change. That which cannot be modified and that which cannot be negated. That's our definition. It's a watertight definition, nobody can touch it. So with that lens, when I start to look at everything in my life, I find everything is changing. And so if Vedanta, some parts of it are not understood, it will become Buddhism. So everything is changing, everything is transient. And so then life is suffering because it's all anityam. So what is that reality of the world outside and of me? So this helps me to glide into this whole inquiry into what is this world all about? Okay. Because I can say that reality is subjective, and that's how we say. So somebody will say, okay, darling, I think we need some space. And you will say, suppose you say this, then your partner might say, well, we just got together. So I might say, no, I think you're being a bit too clingy. So you say, no, that's your interpretation of reality. My interpretation of reality is we are together and we will be together. And we will do all activities together. Okay? So now reality has become subjective. So now we want to arrive at what is absolute reality. Okay? So you have to hold on for that. Let us look at the nature of the world. Okay? We have a mantra in the Upanishad. So tasmad va etasmad akasha sambhutaha akashad vayuhu vayor agnihi agnirapaha abhya prithvi oshadayaha oshadhibhyonnam. So the whole thing, all these 5 elements came from what is Satyam Brahman. Okay, so this is a particular word we are saying, Brahman. And the one who knows this Brahman is Brahman himself. So the one who knows the truth is Brahman. What is Brahman? It comes from what we call root or dhatu in Sanskrit, which means the big. And the big, which is not an adjective. Because I can say big mountain, I can also say big mosquito. Correct? Big, now the word is being limited by the noun. Because big mountain will never ever become big, big mountain cannot become big mosquito. And likewise. So now big although it's an adjective, it is limiting, it is limited by the noun. And so we have a need to be unique and special, okay? But we pile on a lot of adjectives on ourselves, and then we end up feeling very limited and isolated, because now you have some special powers and you cannot talk about it to anyone, you know. So we strive to get more adjectives, but actually adjectives tend to limit. But anyway, the point is that Brahman comes from this root which means the big. How big? Limitlessly big. That which doesn't have limits. And Veda, being a means of knowledge, points out that you are the limitless. Okay? You're not just a human being. Human happens to be an adjective to you. What you really are, it doesn't have any boundaries. So then your next immediate thing is, but you know what, I feel really limited. In fact, people shout me down all the time. I feel like a worm. I wish I didn't have this experience. Well, that's what you're feeling. And emotions are transient. So we have to arrive at a relative level of peace to be able to appreciate what is absolute peace. So now with this inquiry, that all that is here, we find has been given to us. Okay? This body that I have, the cells, different kinds of cells are there. The RBCs are there, WBCs are there. Which university did they go to know how to function? How to absorb the nutrients? What to evacuate? How to coexist with the others? How did they learn all this? There is an intelligence in the human body. Just in the processes, in the way in which it functions. You look outside, the different phenomena that are present, all intelligence, deep intelligence. So there are a lot of atheists who will say, you know what, I don't believe in God, but I believe in nature. Because we see the deep intelligence of nature. And now, I will tell you something that will surprise you. Where there is intelligence, there is a conscious being. Okay? Wherever there is intelligence, and point out to me any place in this world where there is no intelligence operating. In terms of simple phenomena, just the whole weather pattern, and therefore weather predictions, or the medical doctor that you go to. How many bodies has the person studied? May not have studied many bodies anyway. There are not too many donations, cadaver donations. Still, the body of knowledge that exists are certain principles that the person has understood. And that principle applies to more or less everybody, and therefore we can get treated. So what I'm saying is, the different experiences that we have, which is a combination of different bodies of knowledge that are already discovered or not yet discovered, all of that is given to me. Okay, we just found ourselves struggling in this world, and then you check with your parents, well, they have struggled and they've had their own histories or whatever else. So this world that is given to us, which is so deeply intelligent, there is a conscious being where there is intelligence. All of us across the different cultures and religions, whenever you talk about this being called God, everyone looks up, correct? We behave as if God is dead here. And Vedanta helps us to see that all that is here is God. And there is a word we use, Ishvara. So wherever there is intelligence, wherever experiences are there is a conscious being, an infinitely limitless being that is blessing us with all that we have and all that we are. But I don't believe in God. I am not asking you to believe in God. You refute this logic for me that where there is intelligence, there is a conscious being. Try and refute it. And you will not be able to refute it. To appreciate it better, we look at one experience that all of us have had, whether it's been a dream or it's been a nightmare. Okay? You had a dream last night of a holiday in Turkey, and you see these very beautiful blue and white tiles and some lovely people you met who were backpacking, very deep conversations, and you enjoyed their tea and the coffee and all of that, and some very good food. All that you saw in your dream. Okay? And then of course you remember it in the morning. Now before you slept, did you go shopping for the tiles and the experiences? Okay, I am going to program a dream now. I have to be ready with all the material and the intelligence. No. The moment you thought, it was there. So you were that intelligent conscious being from which all the materials in your dream came, the different paths you took, the tiles, the people, so flesh and blood people, okay? Not like dolls. They were all there in the dream. And it's all very vivid for you. So you were one unitary source of the intelligence in the dream, however crazy it was, and also the material for the dream. By just having one example, you can appreciate that there is one unitary source for the material and the intelligence of what we call the Jagat, the creation. Are you able to appreciate it? So then, what are we saying? We are saying that all that is here is intelligence, and where there is intelligence, there is a conscious being called Ishvara. Okay? So now, when I am interacting with you, I am interacting with a manifestation of Ishvara, not a creation, where a creator is different from the created. Here you are just another form of the same being. And that's what we call oneness. That all that is here is one, different forms, different beings, but that's what they are interacting with each other. And they have enmity, and then they have conflict resolution, then they come together, then they separate, then they get divorced, and then again they come together, and so on and so forth. It's all happening in one being. And you are that limitless. But then I find that there is so much variety. Everything is different. And then what we look at is, what is the status of reality of this world? What is the status of reality of this body-mind? Is it absolutely real? Because I find that it's subject to change. If it's subject to change, it is a source of suffering for me. So here is where we will introduce two words. One is called Satyam and the other is called Mithya. Okay? Two words do not mean two entities. Two words mean my understanding of reality of that. And for that, Let me give you the example of a gold chain. Okay, this gold chain, which of course I don't have, but you can imagine this gold chain. We're using two words: gold, adjective, chain, object. Correct? How many things are there in this gold chain? One thing, two things. How many things? Two words. Obviously, one thing. What is most important is the chain, or is it the gold? The chain can be made of any material, right? But without gold, there is no chain. It's like the emperor's new clothes, right? So without the material, there are no clothes possible. Without gold, there is no chain. Chain is an object, but actually it is gold all the way. And so my teacher used to say that there is nothing like gold chain. He would say what is there is chainy gold. And it's true. Because what is a substantive? It's gold. If you take away the gold, does the chain exist? It doesn't exist. So this chain, which is a form, because the gold of course can be in any form, it can be a ring, it can be a bangle, it can be a chain, or so on and so forth. Gold is what is the defining reality of the gold chain. Pure being is our defining reality, that which doesn't change. Then what is it that changes? The form changes. The chain has functional utility. I cannot, carry a lump of gold. It has to be supported by a chain, or the gold has to be converted to a form. So the form has functional utility. But does the form have an independent reality? Can it exist on its own? No. It needs the gold to exist. So, when we say human being, what is the form and what is the content or the reality? What changes, which is the form that changes, that has the status of dependent reality, what we call mithya. And what doesn't change is pure being, which is satyam, which is limitless. So when you ask, well, what I see out there, it is changing. Yes, it is other than me. What is its status? Well, obviously, if it's changing, it is mithya. And mithya is very much like my dream. When I wake up, I am the wise one. If I woke up from a nightmare, I will say, you know what? Thank God the nightmare is over. Why? Because it's not real. It was not real. It was never real. So all the sadness, all the conflicts, all the sorrow that I experience, when I wake up to the fact that all that is there is pure being, and all these different forms are occurring in consciousness, then I see that I am unaffected. I am unaffected by all of this. I was never affected. I was never born and I will never die. So this is what we call understanding of Satyam and Mithya. That what I see is changing out externally, internally in my own mind, and I am the invariable, everything else is variable, and I am that consciousness, that being. Okay? But for me to be able to see this truth, I need to have an ethical life. I need to have the base of dharma. Because people will ask, okay, fine, so what? Like earlier, people said I was hopeless. Now you have given me new word. You are calling me Brahman, limitless. But nothing has changed in my life. I still have to deal with traffic jam. I still have to deal with very annoying colleagues. And then I still have to deal with my teacher, whom I like but who makes me very uncomfortable. What do? I have to deal with all these people. And that's where we have to be rooted in what are universal values and ethics. Because for Vedanta, there is a certain preparation that is required. That when you hear this insight, that because you know that you are more than every experience, because you've lived through so many experiences, you know you are more than your mind, you know that you are more than your body. When I say it, you see the truth of it. So there are some insights. But there is a whole process of qualifying yourself for this knowledge, which requires discipline, which requires a certain lifestyle. And for me to be able to see, well, all that is here is mithya. Mithya doesn't mean illusion or delusion. It is a status of reality of being dependent. It doesn't exist on its own. Where there is being, there are forms, there are 5 elements. Where there is being human, this being, there is also human form. And this human form is subject to change. It doesn't exist on its own. What it depends on is this independent reality called pure being, Satyam. The one who sees this Satyam is indeed that Satyam, limitless Brahman. So now you can shoot with your questions. How are we for time? Okay. Yes. Yeah. So it's a Satyam. You try and take your the tip of your tongue to the to your teeth behind. So it'd be Satyam. Ta. Yeah, you're a natural. So it's Satyam, and Mithya is Mithya.
If this is intelligent being and you're interacting with us or this as intelligent beings, do you create your interaction or is it a natural function of your learning? And are you bringing your ethical values into every moment?
Yes. Very good question. Are we bringing in our ethical values into every moment? You are actually asking a very important question in terms of, are we just programmed that this intelligence is just functioning on its own, or do we have any kind of volition, perhaps, right? There are 2 things always operating. One is the powers that you have been given, and we all have 3 powers. Okay, even if you're not Superman or Spider-Man, I will tell you about these 3 powers. And there are the set of events or circumstances that are occurring in my life because of karma. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about this karma. The 3 powers we have been given are Ichha Shakti, which means the desire, the power to desire. You could desire the moon, right? Kriya Shakti, the power to do, and Jnana Shakti, the power to know. Okay. So what happens is, I find myself in a particular situation and I have certain roles that I am playing. Okay. So in relation to a particular person, I am partner or mother or father, husband, wife, colleague, employee, employer. What should determine the way I function? What is the script? Because we don't come with the script, you know. The script is dharma. So dharma as in, I don't want to be hurt, you don't want to be hurt. Very simple. This dharma is in every human heart. I don't have to go to university to learn it. I can refine my understanding of dharma. Okay? But this basic understanding is there in every human heart. That's why a little 2-year-old will wipe the tears of her doll who's fallen down. From where did this empathy come? She can't read, she can't write. But she knows that, if I fall down, I get hurt. If my doll falls down, my doll gets hurt. So this empathy of knowing that I want to be treated in the same way in which others are treated, or vice versa, is there in our hearts. So that is our guiding principle. And here we want to be very clear about what is the goal of our different relationships. So I am relating to my partner. What is the goal? Tell me, anyone? Compassion? Well, I can have compassion for a dog. Why do I have to be with a partner? Correct? Kindness. Okay. But why particularly to this one only? Okay. So to love and be loved, to be there for another person, support the person through his or her emotional life goals, to contribute to the happiness of another being, these are more or less the goals. Can I expect limitless happiness from the relationship? Then you're expecting moksha. So if you have this, if you find yourself relating to different people, and you are able to act kindly, compassionately, and also use tough discipline wherever it's required, but you are contributing to that person's life goals, you're contributing to the happiness, to the welfare of that person, and you feel the freedom to also ask for what you need, then you're doing brilliantly. So that's what we will call an ethical life. So am I programmed? No. But there are certain situations that I have not engineered, and that is linked to the understanding of karma. So karma, the word comes from the Veda. So karma meaning action, but will-based action. A donkey, if the donkey kicks, the donkey has no karma. Okay, if donkey kicks you, he will not get papa. Okay, but we will get papa. Papa again is a Sanskrit word, which means an invisible result, which is the effect of my negative actions. Punya is a certain credit, like brownie points of doing something, but they are invisible. So I am always doing my karma. I mean, while I'm interacting with people, how do I decide how I need to go? Well, it's very simple. Dharma is in my heart. I operate in a kind, ethical way, and I contribute to people's goals. But I feel so helpless. You cannot afford to feel helpless because you have all these powers. A little ant who wants a sugar crystal, okay, totally owns up its powers. I want that sugar crystal, okay. Ichha Shakti. It's a power to desire. Then I walk up to that sugar crystal. I have Kriya Shakti. I have the power of action. Then it's too heavy for me. What do I do? I look around. Oh, some fellow ants have come. Okay, collaborative effort. We will lift it together. Jnana Shakti. With that ant brain, whatever that ant brain is, this fellow has claimed all three powers. Doesn't feel helpless at all. Okay? And then we have been gifted with so much. So with all the powers that we have, the different pursuits that are there in my life, I bring in dharma. Because dharma makes me happy. Makes me happy in the sense that I want justice, I want compassion. All these are subsets of dharma. I want love to be there between family or friends or whatever it is. I want productivity, I want financial independence, I want sexual pleasure. All of this is within dharma. So the way we function is a combination of the events that have come into my life because of my previous lifetime karma, depending on what is there in my account, and my response to the different situations. So what is very important to note is what I'm facing now is the result of the choices I made in my previous lifetime. So some of you may say, "Ah, I don't believe in previous lifetime." Okay, don't believe. But there are enough accounts of past life regression, people who've been through past life regression, who are able to very clearly remember what all they went through past lifetimes. So karma as a topic of understanding comes to us from the Veda. No logic will tell you why ethical people have had to face so much difficulty, why good people face really traumatic situations. There is no logic that can ever explain it. But karma from the Veda explains it very beautifully. So the way I operate while I'm interacting with everyone, the framework is dharma. It can never be moksha. Because I have to still assimilate the understanding that all that is here is one. But in the meanwhile, what do? Shall I just sit in a cave? Then that means I am rejecting most of Ishvara's creation. That doesn't make sense. So I operate with dharma. I operate with the framework of being ethical to the extent that I can, knowing that I have the powers to act, to do, to think. I claim all the powers I have, and then I am able to respond to any situation, because no situation is a threat to me. That this is a situation that's come, okay, I can handle it. And there is an whole understanding of karma yoga, which I will see if I want to get into now, or I will just check if there are other questions. Yes.
You said about the chocolate.
Yes.
Where if you eat too much chocolate, you get really reject chocolate. Is it the same thing with the Ananda?
Yeah. So here Ananda, the word, comes from Ananta, which means fullness. Okay. Ananda in Indian languages has an experiential connotation. Ananda is not experiential happiness in Vedanta. So you are full. You're full in the sense that you are the subject, the one experiencer, who is experiencing the chocolate. There was a separation between you, the subject, and the chocolate. Now you are one with the chocolate. Okay? The subject and the object, there is no more divide. You're one. In that moment, the projecting mind resolves. There is no sense of duality, there is no separation, there is no division of subject-object. That moment is what that fullness that you really are manifests as a way you're so happy, you're so delighted. Because the Ananda was being inhibited by your raga for the chocolate. Suppose I give you bitter gourd, Karela, okay? And most people don't like it because it's really bitter to taste. You don't want it. But actually the being that you are, which is fullness, which is limitlessness, because we are conditioning ourselves by raga dvesha, therefore the Ananda is not being fully manifest. Okay? So Ananda, the being that you are, sometimes will manifest as a happy, you look very happy, or you may be quiet Ananda. It's like the waves in the ocean. So what defines the ocean is the water. Sometimes there is a tsunami, sometimes there are little waves. Those are just forms, but they don't define you. Water is what defines. So the Ananda that you are doesn't mean that I am smiling at everyone all the time and inside I'm feeling horrible. It's not like that. So the fullness that you are is subject to no change. When it manifests in a dynamic mind, the dynamic form of that manifestation is you feel a sense of love and an expansiveness. Okay, an expansiveness that you're not limited by this body. That all who are here, they are really me. They are my forms. So if it is Ananda, happiness, that also nobody tires of. Because we can be very confident of wishing anyone and everyone Happy New Year. Does anybody complain, hey, shut up, how dare you wish me Happy New Year? I have had enough of happiness, I don't want any more happiness. Nobody says that. Nobody says that. We can just blindly wish people. In fact, people get upset if you don't wish them. Correct? So even experientially, the happiness that I am seeking, I never tire of it. I never say, I've had enough. Bhagwan, please give me some sorrow. Never. You will never say this. But that experiential happiness is your own Ananda manifesting under certain conditions. And when we see that I am the one that is unconditional, then no condition actually defines me, because I am pure being. So we move from an experiential understanding of Ananda to the Swarupa, to the nature of who you are, which is Ananda, which is Ananta, which is limitless, which is fullness. Yeah? Okay? Yes?
I understand it from the point of being a human being. What about being another sentient creature like animals? You're saying they can't karma, they can suffer.
Yes.
Where has
Yeah, what's the role of karma in an animal's life? So this understanding comes to us from the Veda, because it tells us things that we cannot figure out by ourselves. Okay? What is said about an animal is that it is a bhoga sharira, which means the medium of experience is such that I can only exhaust my karma. So that is where I am programmed. I don't have choice. So you say, what about dogs who are so loyal? Well, they are programmed to be loyal. Have you seen a disloyal dog? No. There's no choice. They are like that. Okay? But there is suffering, because their choices are not there. So the karma of an animal, in fact, animal does not have karma. It just has punya and papa. There is no volition, there is no will, which will result into punya papa account. So I have to experience. If of course I am, I am a pet of, wonderful couple, then I enjoy. They will allow me to sit on the sofa. If I'm a stray dog somewhere, then of course I have to suffer. Or in the process of training me, then I do experience some suffering.
what is the point that don't get suffering? Because our suffering has a point.
Yes.
And then evolve.
Yeah, so here we have to understand karma a little bit. We do actions and we get direct result, visible result and invisible result. Okay, you help someone, that person is helped, visible result. You feel happy that you helped that person, you reached out, visible result. There is an invisible result called punya, which translates into pleasurable situations for you. That you will find that somebody will help you later on in life, okay, or the next day or whatever it is. And what goes around comes around. This is all from the Veda. That there is punya being accumulated in your karmic account. Likewise, if you have done lot of actions of adharma, you've hurt a lot of people, humiliated, cheated, so on and so forth, there are results of actions called papa, which means that I will experience some suffering. Okay, because you wonder, well, I've been so good, why am I experiencing suffering? Well, actually, it's your papa. So, is Bhagwan, God to be blamed? No, you are to be blamed. Can you blame yourself? Well, I don't know under what circumstances I did what I did. But this is the lot I am dealing with. All the people in my life, I have actually asked for them. They are my punya and my papa. The people who are very nice to me, punya, not so nice to me, I have to experience the suffering, because what goes around comes around, it is my papa. So, animals don't have karma, but what karma fructifies in which lifetime we don't know. Okay, it's not necessarily linear. So once the body dies, there will be rebirth if I don't know the truth. And that rebirth, which karma fructifies, so which combination of punya papa fructifies to give me which kind of body, nobody knows. That's why we are prayerful. Of course, Bhagwan Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita assures us that anyone who is on the path of spirituality, who is wanting to understand God, himself, herself, and so on, will just pick up the thread where the person left off. And that's why all of us are here. Okay? So everybody thinks we are crazy. They have given up on us. So why at this early stage, what's wrong with you? Are you suffering? You have some secret sorrow? Why you want to come to a yoga festival of all the things? Have you lost it or what? So this is because we have a lot of blessings from previous lifetimes and even this lifetime. And so the fact of having a body, what is the material of the body? It is punya and papa. That's what makes up. Okay? But this understanding comes to us from the Veda. You will say that, oh, the zygote is required, the sperm and the ovum and all that. But the intelligence of that is all Ishvara. And that Ishvara helps our own karma to manifest. Because all laws of karma, like any other laws, they are all pervaded by God, Ishvara. Okay, one more minute. Okay, we're good. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukh abhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. The prayer that I said was that may all beings be happy, because you don't pray only for yourself. Others are happy, you are happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from disease, and may all beings be free from sorrow. That's our universal prayer.